Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of Start Fishing. This is a 360-degree video, so make sure that you can look in all directions. If you can't, then you might need to open up the video in your YouTube app. If you haven't already, please be sure to hit the subscribe button to ensure that you'll see new content when I post it in the future, and it's going to help support the channel. Today I'm out for an early morning run to the rope, and as you can see, the Corps of Engineers are currently generating on 1, 2, 5, 6, and 7. And whenever I see water wrapping around the wall like this, I'll usually stop and make several casts below the danger sign before tying up to the rope. On more than one occasion, I've found hybrids and stripers hanging out right here on the edge, especially when the current looks like this. Now I'm still waiting to get my first hit on my Alabama rig, which I used for the first time in my last video. Now, as you can see, this rig has 5 jigs along with spinners that creates what looks like a mini school of bait fish. So this is easily the most expensive fishing lure that I have ever purchased. The Alabama rig itself was $30 online, but then you add in the additional $6 or $7 for shipping plus tax, and it was almost $40 by the time I got it. Add on to that the 5 jigs and the swim baits. This one lure cost a minimum of $50. So my expectations are really high, and I envisioned hours of catching fish after fish, that would help justify the cost. Just a side note that I'm currently using 20-pound braided line on this rod, and there's no leader. It's connected directly to the lure, and I have cast it multiple times, heaving it out to the middle, putting lots of pressure on it. So I'm sure that there was no weakness in the line, that the knot was fine, but yeah.
No.
Simply unbelievable. If you didn't see my face, rewind it and watch my actual reaction of when that line pops. My face says it all, and honestly, I still feel absolute frustration over losing that lure on the very first hit that I've had on it. And it's possible that my drag was set too tight. I've had problems with that reel before. But whatever hit it, which I'm assuming it was a hybrid or striper, I didn't see it, but it was pretty big fish. But because it hit so close to the boat and there's literally no stretch in braided line, I guess that's why the line popped so easily. I do plan on getting another Alabama rig, but I'm just not going to pay $40 for it. I'm not sure I was even able to fish with it long enough to determine if a cheaper version is going to be comparable to the one that I had, which I think was handmade. But I'm going to try it. I'm going to try it again. So I stayed on the rope for another hour, just throwing the jig tipped with a white fluke with no other hits, and then moved over to the Georgia side to look in and see what was going on in that hole over there. So I've got minnows with me, and I'd hoped to locate some white or yellow perch, or perhaps even some crappie. Now, moving into this area, the depth dropped to 40 feet, and I started marking fish. I actually took a picture of the screen because I wanted you to be able to see what brought me to the point of anchoring. So looking at this picture, I want you to notice that although there are a few closer to the bottom, the majority of whatever is down there is suspended around 30 feet from there to the bottom. Now, I've already had a couple hits and was beginning to think that the fish might be gar because I was having a hard time hooking up. So I've got 2 poles out with my minnows, and they're suspended in that kind of 30-foot range to see if I can finally hook whatever is down there. Watch that pole tip on the right side. There it goes. Fish on. Hey, looky there. That's a nice eating sized catfish. Now I know what's suspended down there at the bottom. think that was a blue cat. Well, there goes the other pole. This is not an uncommon phenomenon to have catfish begin to stage over here in this hole in the wintertime. So I'm always kind of looking for them. It's always a backup plan. If I'm having a hard time catching anything, I come looking for the catfish. And a lot of times they're there. Little minnows, it's really all you need. I'm sure you could catch them with cut bait as well, or maybe even catch more. But in this case, minnows did the trick. It's kind of hard to see that pole in the back, but it just went down. And that's another really nice eating size catfish. So I was under a time restraint this morning. It was Sunday morning and I was on my way to church. So I'm sure I could have stayed and just kept catching catfish if I'd wanted, but priorities, right? But thanks for stopping by, guys, and hanging out with me, watching my videos. Again, make sure you hit the subscribe button, but hang in there. Next weekend, I'm headed to Kentucky, and we'll be fishing with my brother and my dad. I'm looking forward to that. Hopefully, I'll be catching my first trout ever. So good stuff. Thanks for coming by, and remember, if you see me out on the water, be sure to stop and say hello.